guys, this is Archimedes Tutor here, and we'll be learning how to write square roots and exponents in this video. So let me just start us up with some practice problems. There we go. We'll be writing these three expressions in exponent form. So let me just start off with the first one. 5 times 5. So I'm simply going to write 5 first, and since there are two 5s, I'm going to write a small 2 above it. And that's it. The second one is y times y times y. This dot is a multiplication symbol. So again, I'm going to write y, and since there are three y's, I'm going to write a small 3 above it. The third one, 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. I'm going to write 8, and I'm just going to count the number of 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to write a small 7 above it. Now let's go back to the first one. The small 2 here is actually the exponent, which is the number of times you multiply 5. The 5 is called the base, which is the number being multiplied, and everything altogether is called the power. This is pronounced as 5 to the power of 2, or 5 squared. The second one is pronounced y to the power of 3, or y cubed, cubed meaning 3, and 3 is the exponent. And the third one is pronounced 8 to the power of 7, where 7 is the exponent. Now let's move on to the square root symbol. It is written as this, and it is the opposite of squaring something. So whatever value is in the square root sign will be square rooted. Such as if I put 36, it will be square rooted, and usually complex problems are solved with a calculator. You will notice a square root sign on your calculator. So if I were to square root this, it will give us 6. And what do you notice? So when 6 is multiplied by itself, it gives us 36. And another example, the square root of 64 gives us 8. So 8 times 8 equals 64. So the square root is basically giving us the number that when multiplied by itself is equal to the value in the square root sign. Here's the tricky part. The square root of 36 is also equal to negative 6. And why is that? Because when negative 6 is multiplied by negative 6, the negatives cancel out and it gives us 36. Similarly with this, the square root of 64 is also equal to negative 8. So when negative 8 times negative 8, the answer is 64. We'll learn more about negatives cancelling each other out in our integers unit. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go back to some more practice. So we're going to write these 4 expressions into square root form. So the first one is 6. Since we already just covered this, we're simply going to multiply 6 by itself. So 6 times 6 gives us 36. And we're going to write this into a square root, into our square root sign. So the final answer is the square root of 36. Our second one is 10. Multiply 10 by itself gives us 100, and write it in our square root sign. So that's equal to the square root of 100. The next one is negative 10. So negative 10 times negative 10 is also equal to 100, since the negatives cancel each other out. We write it under our square root sign, and negative 10 is also equal to the square root of 100. The last one is y. So we're just going to multiply y by itself. It'll be y squared, and put it under our square root sign. and it'll be square root of y squared. So that will make sense since the square root and the power of 2 cancel each other out, and it simply leaves us with y. Okay, now let's do the opposite. We're going to convert these into integer form. So the first one is the square root of 289. Since this is a very big number, I can just use my calculator. Square root 289, and that gives us 17. So I'm going to write plus or minus 17, since minus 17 is also a valid answer. Next, square root of 25. After a while, you can just get used to memorizing them. By the way, that's the plus or minus symbol. Third one is x squared. So again, the square root sign and the power of 2 are going to cancel each other out, and that just leaves us with x. And the fourth one is a trick question. Square root of negative 16. So there's no way to get a negative square root sign. So just to make sure, I'm going to write negative 16, and that gives us a math error, so it's invalid. I'm just going to write n/8. Now let me just go over some key concepts on this lesson. Squared means exponent of 2, and cubed means exponent of 3. That is important for communication purposes. And second, square rooting gives us two answers, one negative and one positive. So as we learned, the square root of 100 is 10 or negative 10. When a number is multiplied by itself, it is the value in the square root sign. And there is no such thing as negative square roots. That's invalid. Thanks for watching. For more information on myself and Archimedes Tutor, and on the lessons I will be uploading, please visit my website www.archimedestutor.com. My next lesson will be estimating square roots. Until then, stay tuned to Archimedes Tutor.